not. Hey everyone, if you're watching us live, we're about ready to get started. sellroundtable.com/live if you want to join in the Zoom call so you can ask us questions directly. And we are going to be, as the title says, it's going to be a big Amazon bitch fest today. Luckily, every episode in our podcast is marked with the expletive flag because I don't ever want to worry about having to cuss. And this episode might have a lot of that. So don't let your children listen to it. All right. All right. So we're going to get started. And hey, what's up, everybody? This is Andy Arnott with
Amy Weiss.
And this is Seller Roundtable number 77. And back for a repeat appearance who is perfect for this Amazon Bitch Fest episode. Joe Reichsfeld, come on down. You're the next contestant on the Amazon Bitch Fest. How's it going, Joe?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for being with us today. So I'm going to preface this with my own experience here. So if you guys know me, or if you've listened to any of this, you know that I've been in the Amazon game for a very, very long time. At one point at our peak, we had close to 900 SKUs. Let's just say I've uploaded a few flat files in my day. I've dealt with lots of listings, things like that. Amazon took the liberty to send out their AI listing bots, in September, October. They always do this, and suppressed one of our top selling items, which we normally, net, anywhere from high 2 figures to 3 figures. It's been down for over 2 weeks. I've gone back and forth with seller performance and opened probably like 30 tickets. And, normally people hire me to help them with these problems. And the fact that I can't even get through this firewall right now is just showing you the level of frustration that I think probably a lot of you guys are going through. I know that I'm at my tipping point here in terms of frustration with Amazon. We have the perfect person here, Joe. Joe just testified to Congress in terms of, Amazon and their treatment of sellers and, some of the perceived unfair practices going on there. And you know what? It doesn't make me happy to bash Amazon. There's so many great people working at Amazon. There's a lot of great things that do come out of Amazon. There's a lot of people that have made a lot of money off of Amazon. So on one side, I'm absolutely grateful for that. But on the other side, it's really starting to look more and more every day like a bait and switch, right? Build our marketplace for us. And then we're going to crank up all the fees. We're going to absolutely make it.
Now starting to look that way to you?
Well, I'm just saying more and more every single day. I mean, the screws are being tightened every single day. And, more of the Amazon branded, own brands being pushed. If that's not antitrust, I don't know what is, but I'm no expert there, Joe.
Me neither. But yeah, it's ridiculous. And the courts allow them to hold themselves above the law. That's the bullshit part about this whole congressional investigation. All they had to do was look at their own records that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing is I get it, right? I mean, if your listing has words in it, which one of the words in mine, granted this listing has been up for, I think, over 5 years. So the fact that it got flagged after 5 years, okay, I get that. There was a few keywords in there. Like I think I had best in there, buried somewhere in the listing.
Grandfathered for that. I have that in listings that aren't
right. So it's, talk about a common word, but anyway, so it gets flagged for that. That's one of the things. There's a few other things, but since they never give you specifics and you have to bring out your magic wand and read their minds on what's wrong with the listing.
Confess to everything you didn't do.
Confess, like my wife Molly said, it's almost like they're scolding a child. I mean, really, that's how it feels like when Amazon gets you on something, right? It's like, well, what did you do wrong, Tommy? Well, I don't know. Well, what do you think you did wrong, Tommy? In a louder voice. It's like that's those are the templates that get sent over and over again. And you throw your arms up. You go, well, I have no friggin' clue. Why don't you tell me? Why don't you help me out here? I thought we were supposed to be partners. Amazon's
over the cuckoo's nest.
Well, Amazon sells the third-party seller thing as, we're partners. We're partners. Well, it's not looking like a partnership at all.
We're
it's
not
looking
partners.
Yeah.
Even and one of the things in the congressional report was, to the public, Amazon says that sellers are partners, but within Amazon, we are what do they call them? They see them as competition.
Yeah. We're there. We get to absolutely follow their rules, exactly the way it has to be done. If there's something that, I mean, the biggest issue, honestly, is they can't keep up with what they have going on. They that with COVID, all this stuff surged. They can't keep
It's
up.
way
They're
more.
using. Well,
That's
I mean, I'm just
way
saying
more
that,
than that.
that's what's tipped it over, though. I think to the point where, I mean, literally, seller support now. If you have anything more complicated than a simple question, they can't. They don't know what to do with it. I mean, they're just spooling up people so quickly that they absolutely don't know what to do with it. So now we're stuck here,
The big
trying to read their minds.
the systemic issue that's always been a problem with Amazon is that seller support is not part of Amazon. It's this third party group that they hire. They don't even know anything about Amazon. These people learn about Amazon from you on the phone. They don't learn about Amazon from Amazon. They learn about Amazon from the people on the other end of the phone as they mess up and give wrong information and then find out the correct information to give. And it's ridiculous. It's pathetic because as well as I do, if you call 5 times in a row, you're going to get
five different answers.
completely different answers, and they're all going to swear that they know, and the other people were wrong.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
It's beyond maddening. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is the first time in years where, I'm a pretty laid back guy, but I've wanted to break things in the last couple of weeks here because I'm just spending literally days on the phone writing tickets, updating the list. I mean, it's like like I told
I don't do that. I just get on the phone and just keep asking to be transferred to a supervisor.
Well, so they don't even do that anymore. So Joe, that's the even sad part. So the captive team is gone. You can't ask for the captive team anymore. They are gone. They don't exist anymore.
Spanish?
What's that?
Do you speak Spanish?
A little bit.
Call back and ask for a Spanish operator. They'll send you to Costa Rica.
Yeah,
Costa Rica branch.
They're pretty solid. They are solid. And so I used to go to college I went to college in North Dakota, and they have, that's where the catalog team is. So I used to be able to talk my way into the catalog team being like, hey, I probably went to school with a lot of you guys. Like,
Yeah, right.
But you can't get, they won't transfer you anymore. They just will not do it.
Them.
Yeah, no,
they heard that they can get bribes.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother story, right? I mean, I've been reached out, via LinkedIn with people saying, hey, I got anything you want. What brands? Here's the data. Luckily I'm smart enough to know that I'm not getting involved in that. But I mean, yeah, they do, and so on one side, I'm appreciative in the fact of, a level playing field, right? If that's what Amazon's goal is a level playing field, I like that. I get that. I think that's great.
Playing field.
But it's not, though, because of the way that they cherry pick what they're going to currently enforce, and who they're going to pick as the winner or the losers.
It's never been a level playing field anyway, since day one. I mean, they kicked me off my own listing in 2008 after I just got my Q4 delivery. They kicked me off my listing because they went to my manufacturer and had the same part made.
Yeah.
And I mean, I swear, it's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
It's the same thing every few years.
So tell us what happened with that, Joe. That sounds crazy. So you had a product that was a really good seller, it sounds like.
I had a keyboard that sold really well. They went to my manufacturer. The only difference between theirs and mine was the sticker on it with the name. They kicked me off my listing. Right about now, actually just before Q4. I just got my Q4 delivery in. And
so was this like they named theirs Amazon Basics or what?
No, they didn't have those names yet. I don't remember what name they used, but they didn't have Amazon Basics yet. They were still kind of
Shadow Team LLC.
They did it to a lot of that year. They did it to a lot of sellers. They banned a lot of sellers going into Q4. And we all took our crap and went to buy.com and made buy.com the second largest e-commerce site in the US in like 6 months.
Until they changed the name to Rakuten.
So what happened, Joe, with how did they notify you that you were being kicked off your own listing? Like, how did that all come about?
I wasn't on the listing anymore.
They just removed you.
They removed me and I couldn't get on it anymore.
And you couldn't get on the listing that you created anymore. So what stopped you from just creating a new listing? Like how did
My stuff was in FBA.
So they marked it stranded then?
I had to get it all back. FBA was about 2 years old then. Yeah, FBA was about 2 years old. It had just come out of it was about a year out of beta. There weren't a ton of sellers in it yet still. Yeah, it sucked.
You said it was in 2008?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, because I started in 2007 and I don't remember there being an FBA at that time. I think they had just like started it and there was just like a couple of people on it.
Yeah, I was in the original group and it was sometime in 2006 and it was great.
So it sounds like what happened, because you said this happened to some other people too. It sounds like what happened early on when they started FBA, they would find these products that were doing well and they would just copy them.
They've always done that.
But what did Jeff Bezos say in the that his thing was we don't.
Oh, the testimony, yeah.
Yeah, and
that's a must watch.
Congress flat out came out and said that they feel he was lying to them, and he was. He was.
So what do you think that sellers can do? Is there anything they can do nowadays?
Yeah.
So what do you think that they can do to prevent this from happening to them?
Build their business off of Amazon and take Amazon's leverage away. Amazon doesn't mess with you as much when they know you have something else to go to.
Right. When you have a brand presence and more brand assets off of Amazon and you can go.
If you have your pictures on other listings on other sites and somebody steals your pictures on Amazon and you go to Amazon and you say something to them, they know that if they don't do anything about it, you're just going to file a DMCA. They know you're not going to screw around with them. I wouldn't file an IP claim on Amazon. Screw that. I'll go file with Google and drop a notice on them. They can't say no. This selective enforcement stuff's for the fucking birds. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's wrong.
So what is a DMCA? What do you mean by that?
Digital Millennial Copyright Act.
Yep.
Okay.
It's an IP infringement, copyright. The minute you put up an image or you put up text, whether you go and have it copyrighted with the government or not, it's copyrighted. There's a record of it. According to Amazon, there's no record of it unless you took a screenshot, or something.
But if that image came from my website where I originally uploaded it, belonged to my brand, I can prove that.
Right. So as an Amazon seller, even if you have no presence off of Amazon, post your damn pictures on Facebook so they're dated. There's a paper trail. Do something. Get that stuff up there so there's a paper trail. When the paper trail leads to Amazon, they bear no responsibility of anything, and you have to prove it. Well, how do you prove it? They're the ones with the archives, not you.
Right. And their policy specifically says, like, if you upload an image to our site, we own the image.
Right.
So if you can prove that you own the image before you uploaded it to their site, then you have that. So when you file a DMCA, who do you file with and what does that look like? Because I think most of us are only familiar with
It takes 10 or 15 minutes. You file it with Google, actually. And it's through Google, and they have a website called Lumens, which is a whole database of everyone that's ever been filed. When you file it, it goes to Google. They present it to the other party. The other party has 10 days to respond. Google takes it down immediately, and then the other party has 10 days to respond. If they fight it, well, then you have 10 days to prove that you filed a lawsuit, or else you lose. Yeah, so it's a double-edged sword. And I got burned on that by a Belgian scientist over a website that I'd made a Nobel Prize winner of all people, even. And he stole a website that I made for him. It was $10,000. Never paid me. I mean, he purposely screwed several people in the U.S. and didn't pay. I filed a DMCA. I won, but there was nothing I could do because I have to be a Belgian citizen to sue him in Belgium. Belgium could care less. They were actually his financier, the Belgian government, and they could care less. The French hosting company could care less. He got his, comes around, goes around, but 10 grand is a lot of money. I was pissed.
Yeah. Well,
I was really pissed.
Joe,
so if Amazon basically did that to you and you already had your brand built off of Amazon, you would file a DMCA against Amazon.
Yeah, and they have no choice but to respond. It's the law.
Okay, and then you might not be dealing with the seller.
The way the law is written is a hosting company, Amazon, any of those companies, they if they don't respond and they don't follow the law, they can have their privileges taken away.
Got it. Yeah, that would be a significant privilege to have removed, especially from the Google side of things.
Yeah, and there are some countries that, when my thing went through, there were still a bunch of companies that weren't following through on it. Countries. Now there's not as many, but like China honors IP and all that other stuff, but they have these little loopholes sewn into it that, if you don't have them closed, you're screwed. It's like an NDA in China, it's worthless.
Yeah.
And it's not so much that it's us against them. It's partially that an NDA does not keep, even here, an NDA does not keep me from making my own copy of your product and competing against you. It just keeps me from disclosing your information to the public. And that's what the Chinese do. They're not telling anybody your secrets. They're just making your product for everybody else. Amongst the jurisdiction and all that other crap too, still.
Oh man, it's frustrating. The thing is, what I'm realizing more and more through my entrepreneurial career, which Joe, I don't know if you knew this, but I started, I think my first endeavor was, paper out and all that. But like my first real endeavor was when I was like 19 years old, right? Which I spun up an affiliate program and I had ICQ bots and, it was back before, all this messenger talk and all that, but I was getting referrals and, it's taken me this long to realize that whenever you deal with a third party as part of a core part of your business, right? Which is Amazon, Google, Facebook, all these major tech companies, they can flip the switch at any time. And they've done it. Every one of those companies has now done it to me.
Even the hosting companies.
Yeah. I mean, they can just flip a switch and turn you off. So, I mean, when you're building your business, you really, really have to take that into account and try to get into businesses where you're not you're always going to be relying on Google, right? I mean, Google, it's where people go to search. Facebook, it's pretty hard to get away from Facebook in terms of, if people want support, they go to Facebook to message you. If if somebody's going to buy a product, they go to Amazon. So, I mean, to get away from those three companies these days is
only 10% of the world goes to Amazon.
No, but I'm just saying though, Joe, in terms, I mean, it's not Amazon. If it's not Amazon, it's Walmart, it's Target. I'm just saying you're going to be beholden to one of these major companies. So all I'm saying is choose wisely and just realize that, that build that into your business plan.
That's why you have to diversify.
Absolutely.
I mean, even if you're spread across multiple marketplaces, they're not all going to screw you at the same moment. You have to be able to, I ask people this all the time. If you get suspended tomorrow, how are you going to pivot to be selling within 24 hours and communicate that to your followers? If you have no idea, well, then you don't have a business. If
I
that's
have an
what happens,
idea.
you don't have
When I'm out of stock on Amazon, people buy on my website.
Right,
So I don't
right. I mean,
care. I mean,
that's
if they shut me down, that sucks. But I also sell on Walmart. I also sell on
right.
Wayfair. I sell on my website.
Right.
You
And
know.
that's the whole thing. You know, it's the one thing that nobody talks about in any of these,
Mm.
you know, seminars, courses, all this stupid bullshit for sale out there. Nobody says, have a backup plan. What is your backup plan? You know, sitting down and going through fail scenarios is part of a business plan.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I just said to my group, you know, a few weeks ago, write down a list of the worst things that can happen to you during Q4 and think about how you're going to react to it. This is, I mean, come on, if it's going to happen in any year, this is it. Right?
It for sure is. just ask one of the people on this Zoom call right now. Yeah, I mean, you know, I've got a total of, I think, 15,000 units of the product that's currently suppressed. You know, gonna hit the fulfillment centers here soon. So I mean, yeah, it's insanity.
Oh, yeah.
To be beholden to that, to their whim.
And the inventory levels too. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And not only that, like when they stopped delivering stuff on time during COVID, they were literally holding your inventory hostage because you couldn't remove it and sell it somewhere else.
No,
you could. Stuck. Sorry.
You were stuck.
Yeah, you were stuck.
At that moment, you were stuck.
The only thing that you could do, those of us who've been doing it long enough and knew how to do multi-channel fulfillment, we could multi-channel fulfill, and that's exactly what we did. But so many people, I mean, they had no idea what to do.
It was a clusterfuck. Nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I remember when you first started it, you spent several days telling her over and over, telling other people how to do it. You know, and it's frustrating, but that's part of, you know, starting on Amazon. You've got this long list of stuff that you need to get done to do private label in this tiny little time period, you know, and it's too overwhelming. It's too much to ask for a lot of people to learn private label from start to finish, to learn sourcing from start to finish, to learn optimization from start to finish, and to learn how to manage themselves. That's the hardest part for most people, even us today, you know. I mean, I've been doing this forever, and I still have, you know, I have my moments every day. You know, it's just part of life, you know. It's crazy. I couldn't imagine just starting with no business experience and jumping into private label.
Yeah,
I mean, in another country, you know, all that stuff. It's nuts.
Yeah, I think another big thing that people aren't, you know, everybody when the FBA thing went down with the limits and everything, everyone's like, you know, oh, okay, I got to go to a 3PL, right? What people aren't realizing is that, and I'm predicting this, but it may not be true. I think they're going to get overwhelmed. I think they
already are.
Yeah. They're going to be taking on too much business, because when you're a business person, people come to you and they go, hey, I got business for you. You say, hey, cool, bring it here, right?
Right.
There's never a thought about, okay, well, if we bring as many people in as we can, our service is going to suck, and then people will never use us again, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
So you know, people, I keep telling people, like, you need to actually go and watch some YouTube videos on how to ship stuff yourself.
Yeah,
and hire somebody. There's going to be somebody down the road who's, you know, not working because of COVID, who, you know, you can pay $15 an hour that will come and ship for you. I mean, that you guys really, really, if you're listening to this right now, I implore you to really, you know, start right now getting, you know, things like you know,
tape,
label printers, ship station, you know, all these things that I started as merchant you know, doing merchant fulfilled, and we would ship 600 orders a day when we first started out. So
started with my own website at 9 o'clock at night on the last day to ship before Christmas. I was at the terminal at the airport with my pickup truck filled with boxes with my two kids who were 4 and 6, and my girlfriend's daughter who was like 3.5. And I showed up as FedEx was closing with my pickup truck full of boxes. And I was just like, I'm screwed. This is never going to work out. These women came out, they took all 3 kids, The next thing I see, the kids are in the cockpit of this airplane waving at me out the window. And I mean, it was really, really cool. I've actually have a great relationship with FedEx since that day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's just nuts though. But yeah, I mean, I know people that tell me I got to go to the post office. I've stood in the post office every fucking day during Q4 before.
Yeah. Well, we had our mail guy during this time who hated us because he would come to our house and fill his truck. They had to like change the truck to like the bigger truck on our mail route just because of us. He was a Crown Royal fan, so I took care of him with some Crown Royal and a nice little bonus check.
That's what we do with our UPS drivers. Is we have UPS come to the house every day and pick stuff up.
You got to take care of those guys. Those guys and girls bust their balls. Especially during Q4. Some of those guys are still working till 11, midnight.
Right.
I mean, they're working hard.
Yeah, when you're trying to close at 5 and they're showing up at 7.
Yeah.
But if we look at any of the major brands that have grown over time in America, a lot of them started making their own stuff. A lot of them started in their garage. A lot of them started with their own factory, their own manufacturing facility. And that's the thing, like people always say, well, I can't import wood from China because it's just so expensive. It's like, it's expensive because it's readily available in the US.
I imported wood from South America, had it shipped by ship to the Philippines where it was made into a furniture and then shipped here on a boat. And all that, and it came here, it showed up as a dining room table. I couldn't buy wood for the cost, just wood. I couldn't buy the wood here that it cost me for the whole table and chairs.
All that importing. Wow.
It was ridiculous.
But what I explained, like for people looking for wood manufacturers in the US, I said, there's tons of wood manufacturers in the US that make cabinets and surfboards and everything else, or skateboards. But I don't think surfboards are usually made of wood. But anyway, and I explained, like most of them are manufacturing their own goods. They're not taking on new things to manufacture for other people, So it's just, but you look at the history in America of most brands, and I'm sure you'd find this in other countries as well, that they started in their own garage. They started in their own facility, and they grew from there. And so I have shipping. We just did launch in our mastermind group. And when I talked about shipping training, of course, I showed them A to Z how to ship on Amazon, but right in there, I was like, you need an account with the big 3. You should have an account with UPS. You should have an account with FedEx. You should know how that stuff works.
I do not have an account with them.
But a lot of people don't, Joe. It's like,
I don't know how that works.
But it's available to you as a business owner, right? And a lot of people don't realize you can get cheaper rates from UPS than you can even buy from Amazon if you just open up your own business account with them.
Yeah, I had so that I guess it was 2000 when I did that airport thing. The guy that was running that branch is now a VP of FedEx, and we're good friends. I mean, I've gotten him some really big accounts here with clients and stuff. And yeah, I mean, he's told me some pretty wild stories, really wild stories. 4 years ago, he told me that Amazon was more than 50% of FedEx's business, UPS's business, and the post office. And their big concern was that if Amazon cut off any one of them on a Friday, by Monday, there would be mass layoffs across the country. Their fleet would be grounded, all kinds of crazy stuff. FedEx freaked out over that. So they made a serious effort to remove Amazon from their flow. And they did, they stopped working with Amazon. And they started their own fulfillment. They did a lot of different things. It was really interesting to watch. It was really, really interesting to watch. And just, I don't know. I remember FedEx when I was a kid. There was Emory. Emory was one of the delivery companies. And they had this little kid in their commercial. And he'd talk about, how they're the best company. And they were cheaper than FedEx. And FedEx came out with when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. They put Emory out of business as the more expensive shipper with just that USP, which is nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, so I mean, going back to it, I mean, I keep telling people, you know, not only the label printer, but getting the packaging, getting the flow, like just, learning how to do that because,
How
if
to
you're
make a
three.
box.
Yeah, well, and have some backup stock, right? We have that every Q4, and I know very little sellers that do, right? We have,
What's safety stock? I mean, that was, COVID bit so many people in the ass
yeah,
because they did
we
not have
boomed.
safety stock.
Yeah, we boomed because we had a container full of stuff in our backyard.
Yeah, who doesn't have safety stock? That
Yeah,
seems like a sin.
yep, yep.
That to me just makes no sense. But I mean, I don't know. I'm old school. I learned the right way to do things as opposed to the Amazon way or whatever you want to call it. I mean,
Joe,
yes,
you don't have a Lambo, so I'm sorry, you have zero credibility.
because I didn't have space in my garage.
Oh man, we're moving away from the Lambos. Our family's more into investment properties and things like that now. We want
There
cash
you go.
flow.
So
We
in
want cash flow.
Idaho, one of my favorite 3PLs is in Idaho. It's called Verde Fulfillment.
Uh-huh.
And they actually stopped taking new clients probably 2 months ago.
That's
They
smart.
stopped taking any new clients until January, but they're a really good 3PL and they're green. That's a great company.
Awesome.
Check
Yeah.
them out.
So Nampa, which is the little suburb right next to us, they just spun up a new fulfillment center. So it's opening in the next like 30 days, I think, or it's opening up here pretty quick. So
Yeah,
uh,
Amazon's opening 8 of them here. Here they
yeah,
announced in first week of September, first week of August to have 8 fulfillment centers open here by Christmas. Just
yeah,
nuts.
crazy.
So Agnes is here and she wants to know, is there any way to find a supplier in the US for private label?
So Thomas Net is one. They're not that
Um,
great.
Makers Row.
Yeah.
Actually, if she lives in the U.S., call the manufacturing association in the state that she lives in, and talk to them. They should know who can make stuff or who's looking to make stuff, and deal with the type of product that she wants. There's also mfg.com is really good. That's a good new database of American manufacturers as well.
And another really great hack for finding private label in the US is literally to go on Google and search private label. So let's say you want to do lotion, hand lotion. You could do private label lotion USA. And you'll
Yeah.
see all the manufacturers who make ready-made products that you can private label. So it's same thing. Like if you want your own cat litter, private label cat litter USA, and you'll see all the different companies that allow private label.
Yeah.
So that's a good
associations are really good about that too.
Or Copac, you can use, Copacker is another good one if it's a liquid or, something like that. The other thing that I've noticed is that you can also seek out, people who are doing wholesale, companies that have wholesale, and then just private label, just have them rebrand their products. A lot of them are willing to do that. So that's another thing that you can do is reach out to people who are importing directly and then wholesaling. That's
she's in Texas. Texas. Woo.
Yeah, there's a lot of manufacturing in Texas. I would start with the manufacturing.
One of my products is made in Texas, but I have a plastic product, and I went through hell to find a manufacturer.
Well, that keyboard in 2008 was the last product I sourced in China.
Yeah, and that was smart because, moving forward, it's going to get harder, not easier, right? I mean, really,
I have a Fortune 500 client who's invested $100 million moving everything from China to Mexico this year.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing I've never really understood. That was always my complaint is, we have Canada and Mexico, not as much for Canada, the salary up there is not much, cheaper than it is here. It is cheaper though.
Canada's our #2 trading partner.
Yeah. But I mean, we have all these great resources. We have all these great resources that are on the continent, right? I mean, you look at Brazil and some of these other countries that we should be investing in, who are more friendly.
We were, and then the war on drugs chased everything to Asia. That was a big part of it. I mean, when I first started selling, everything was Echo in Mexico, Guatemala, and
Yep.
you know, and all those places. And then the war on drugs moved it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That was completely misguided, and then the NAFTA was pretty sketchy in terms of putting manufacturing in the U.S. out of business. So there's a lot of different things at play there.
I
There
think
are,
you
but
have to.
but it's sensationalized. I, I'll take, I'll put up with the headache to be able to fly or drive to my manufacturer and walk in there and sit down and discuss in English, problems, quality problems, or just see while they're making stuff. I mean, that I'll put up with that extra headache. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna position the product as the best out there, and I'm going to position it as made in the USA. I'm going to make a big deal out of that, and I'm going to charge more. I don't care. I mean, it's just,
And
it is
some
what it is.
stuff, though, I mean, some stuff is just not economical.
No,
If you don't have
right.
the raw materials here, it's really, like you were saying, Joe, like you had to do for your table, right? Like
Yeah.
you couldn't even buy the wood. But then again, if you choose to manufacture it yourself, you can charge more, you can play up the made in the
I
USA.
did. I was doing custom and some of the imported crap.
So Lizzie wants to know, she said, are there any barriers to international people, right? Private labeling in the US. So Lizzie's from Australia. Can she private label stuff in the US without an issue?
Sure she can. Yeah, she can. You have to understand that manufacturers here are not like they are in China. China's a free for all. They're chameleons. They'll do anything, and if they can't, they'll say they can and have their brother do it. Here it's, the manufacturers here, a lot of them have only made one product, or like I have a client, all they do is they deal with steel. Somebody came to him, they had a plastic and a steel thing. They got all bent out of shape because he wouldn't do the plastic part. The guy just doesn't even own any injection molding machines, but he's got 52 welding stations and CNCs and all this other stuff. And you have to understand that manufacturers here, they are used to dealing with professional businesses and people that show up with the drawings, the mechanical drawings and stuff like that. I mean, there's.
You really have to know what you're doing in the US to find a I had to sell my company to these manufacturers, finding an like I had to move my molds basically. I didn't have to sell my company, but I had to be a good salesperson.
Right.
Because they don't want to take on my tool, because I owned my tool. I imported my tool from China, put it on their factory floor in Dallas, Texas, and now they make my product for me. But in order to get a factory in the United States to agree to manufacture for me, I called so many factories, and they don't want any part of it.
Yeah. And
you have to know what you're doing. Yeah. You have to know how much you plan to produce. You need to know your business. You need to have a business plan. You need to be able to communicate that to your manufacturer.
Yeah, and
it's not a situation
that most sellers don't have.
Yes. And I mean, I'll never forget,
that space on their property is worth money to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can bring in other machines, or more people, or build another station.
And they don't want to work with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing and can't,
they don't want to take on your liability if they even think for a second that you're questionable, because it puts them at huge risk. There is no barrier to do private label in the U.S., although I would probably look at Mexico first.
What are your tips for checking in Mexico? Because I'm always getting people asking about like how to find manufacturers in Mexico.
So there's some groups. Mexico's still a little weird with manufacturing. There's some groups that facilitate manufacturing in Mexico. There's several companies like that. I have an article on my website that I just did. It's about product sourcing. And it's got methods to source products in lots of different countries, including Mexico, Central America.
I'm looking it up right now. I'm getting the link. Hang on.
You never know. But here's my thing. If you go where everybody else goes to source, if you go to Alibaba and you buy on Alibaba, expect other people to have your product. expect there to be competition. There's tons of manufacturers out there and tons of businesses out there that are right down the street that you can go talk to, and they're more than willing to do stuff. I mean, we just came out of COVID. All these businesses had their doors shut and their products sitting on their shelves. Lots of businesses. Some of them made the products themselves, others didn't. All you had to do is pick up the phone and call any one of these little mom and pop shops here in the US and say, hey, I can help you out. And I'm an internet marketer. I can help you sell your product. I need you to package it for me though, drop shipping. So here's what we'll do. If you give me the best, absolute best wholesale pricing you can, I'll split a third of the profits with you. Now they have buy-in. Now they're going to ship for you the right way. It still works out to you making the same thing. And I mean, it's people, you know, I don't understand. I just don't understand how sellers don't see all this stuff around them. You know,
I think, Joe, it's because
Amazon
they don't
blinders, you know.
I think it's because they don't start with thinking of it as a business. They don't
Right.
start planning it as a business, planning a brand, studying a customer. They start with a product.
And
they're just copying a product.
And they start on Amazon where it's just this step by, right or wrong, it's this step-by-step process.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, all Amazon sellers started on eBay. And if every new product you had, you released on eBay first. And if you could sell it on eBay, then you were sure to be able to sell it on Amazon, because on eBay you had to build your audience. And so you came to Amazon right off the bat as a better seller with a little bit of experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. I think that, you know, and unfortunately it's propagated by, you know, all these YouTube, you know, ads that people see about, you know, how easy it is to sell on Amazon. And, you know, they buy that course and they spend all that money, and now their savings is gone, and they walk away and they, you know, post their, hey, I've got 2,500 units of my widget that I couldn't sell, my rubber spatula. Jungle Scout told me I was going to make, you know, all this money. And, you know, it's just, it's really, really sad that is still going on.
I saw somebody post in a group today about, they said, this product sells for between $20 to $24. How much should I pay the manufacturer for it? And the responses, people were like, no more than $9. Oh. I was like, just give the money to me.
Oh.
What? $9? Are you kidding me? You don't. There's no money left.
So I got a little story for you. So my older son, graduated from college, took some time off between college and medical school, came back here, and some of his friends from high school that I thought would never really amount to much, they're selling. And what they do is they're little rich kids, first of all.
Little rich kids.
Little rich kids that were really,
rats.
They seemed like they were just waiting around for mom and dad to, you know, kick it. You know, and they were just going to drink their way till that point. But they had two bots made, two separate bots, and then they connected them. One monitors Amazon for rock bottom pricing. The other one monitors eBay, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, and a couple other places for items that are going out of stock and in demand. And what they're doing is they're buying products every day on Amazon for rock bottom pricing, turning around and selling them as they receive them for 2 to 3 times as much. And this one kid is making over $5,000 cash a week doing it.
Automated arbitrage. I like it.
I like it. It's smart. I mean, why not take advantage of the people who are basically following a robotic process and giving their money away? You're going to take advantage of all that liquidation.
They were doing pools, they were doing weights, they were doing video cameras, they were doing sewing machines, masks. I mean, every week it's something else. It's actually really interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, there's no such thing as a bad product. Faulty, yeah, but bad product, no. It's because there's other platforms There's other places to find your audience. That's the whole thing. I think the word seller is derogatory. To me, a seller works at the swap meet or sells peanuts at the circus. People need to learn to become marketers. When you can market, you can sell anything, because as a marketer, you learn to find your audience. Amazon is not
and get in front of them.
Yeah, Amazon is not the best place to find every audience. If you're selling a product to teenagers, they don't hang out on Amazon. It's not a good place to market to them. There's forums still that are filled with very specific people, and you can, your client acquisition cost is nothing when you target them in places like that. Even other marketplaces. If I sold anything that had to do with guns, I would also sell on gun brokers. There's 12 million gun nuts on gun brokers.
Yep.
And nobody else, just gun nuts.
Yeah. Hey, you're giving away my source of ammo, because you can't get ammo anywhere right now except for gun broker. That's where the ammo's hiding.
Oh, I got a couple people for you.
So,
well, I'm in Idaho now. That problem's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Joe, we can't let you go today without utilizing some of your expertise. And Marina asked a really great question about this. She said, question about branching off of Amazon. And I guess that's really the core of our conversation today. Obviously, the number one choice is your own website. But where should you focus next? eBay, Walmart, Facebook. And this is where Joe's probably going to, I would give the answer, become a marketer, because it's not just a simple answer. It's where's your audience?
Yeah.
You're selling to teenagers, exactly. You need to go where your audience is.
Find your audience. If you sell a pet product, think about it. How many dog breeds are there? For every dog breed, there's how many clubs of really crazy, fanatical people, right? I mean, you can just market to one dog breed and be extremely successful if you can target like that. Health products, beauty products, there's huge forums for that. You can sponsor a forum for $200 for the year and have a banner on their login page and have your own private room that you can sell to people on. Automotive parts, same thing. Every car has giant forums. I would find your audience. Find the influencers that your audience worships. Screw Google ads, Facebook ads, Amazon ads. I mean, why target each person one at a time when you can target the people they worship? If you target the people they worship and you can get featured on their show, or you can partner with them to do something, anything, then you're putting yourself in front of their audience. Hashtags. Most people don't know how to use hashtags. Don't use hashtags that have more than 100,000 posts. Use hashtags that have less than 100,000 posts. What are hashtags? Hashtags are aggregators, topic aggregators. So you find the top influencer, you find your competitors' hashtags that they're using, and then you use them. And then you're putting yourself in front of other audiences that would normally not see you for free, for nothing. So I would suggest having a website is not the right move for a lot of Amazon sellers. It really isn't. A Shopify site, it's just not. It's not necessarily. You can do a one-page landing page. If all you need is a squeeze page or a landing page, which you can host on Google. You can host a website on Google Drive. Did you know that? For free.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's
there's no reason to be paying $40 a month for Shopify when you're not, if you're an Amazon seller and you have a Shopify store, but you're not doing anything to build your brand off of Amazon. You're just wasting your money on Shopify.
And I mean, I'm a Shopify partner and have been for years, and I'll be the first person to tell somebody it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
The coding and the money.
I dropped my Shopify website like 3 months in.
Yeah,
and
what works much better for a lot of smaller sellers, WordPress with the Shopify Lite plugin for $10 a month works great. You get the back end of Shopify. You instantly can accept 9 different payment methods, and you get WordPress's SEO. I've got a whole bunch of people doing that. It works really, really well.
You said the Shopify Lite plugin?
Shopify Lite plugin.
So that allows you to use the Shopify cart system and all of that for shopping, but it lets you stick with your WordPress website.
Any theme.
Oh, nice. That would be I was wondering how people were doing that. So that's my gold for today.
And your plugin, the plugin that you want to get is wpshop.io. And that's, if you buy it a year at a time, it's $10 a month. So you got $20 a month, and that takes what Shopify gives you, and it gives you all kinds of customization ability with it. So your pages, your product pages on WordPress, the URL is the same as it would be on Shopify. You know, your URL -collections-product, or backslash. It's the same structure, and it works out really, really well.
The other thing you were talking about, Joe, for the single landing page, which works really well, is WordPress again, and then just get Elementor, and you do Elementor, and you can do WooCommerce, or like you said, using a Shopify plugin, something like that.
I was going to do
Gravity
a
Forms
landing page. If I was just going to do a
Form,
one-page landing page, I would go with Blogger because it's owned by Google, and I'm going to get better Google ranking off of it.
Yeah,
to tell you the truth, and it's free. I would
Bloggers,
probably, I would just post the HTML on Google Drive. For the main reason for either one of those choices is SEO.
Yeah. Yep.
Google says they don't favor themselves.
Yeah, they do. Domain authority, the old domain authority. Very few people know that. Yep, agreed.
I like that. The $10 Shopify Lite program, though, it's a buy button. So any place you can insert HTML, you can insert your Shopify store or your Shopify platform.
Yeah.
Which is sweet.
Can you still utilize all the cool third-party partnerships that Shopify has?
Plugins, apps, you mean?
Well, like for example, Shopify has a partnership with Walmart. They have,
some yes, some no.
Okay.
Yeah, some yes, some no. As far as apps go, if the app alters the product total in any way, then then at this point it still doesn't work with WordPress. But if it's just some of the marketing apps and stuff, they do work. But the WP Shop, they're actually pretty receptive to trying to help you out and make things work for you. They've actually come a long way recently.
So what's your top tip, Joe, for those people that have been considering getting into Amazon and hear this episode today and they're like,
getting into Amazon?
Yeah, considering getting into Amazon. And they hear this episode today and they're like, I have some more things to think about here. Amazon's still a very strong sales channel.
Oh yeah,
it's just that, a sales channel. So how would you recommend that they get started in e-commerce using Amazon as a sales channel, but not only Amazon?
So what I would do if I was starting from scratch, I would project 6 months before I launch my product. I'd set that as my goal. And in the course of that 6 months, I'd build a website, I'd build a marketing machine, mailing list, build an audience, build authority, maybe release a book, definitely put out some lead magnets via Kindle because it opens up a whole area to build authority. And the launch day should not be the day that you say, okay, I launched, now what? Launch day should be the grand opening of your business. It should be the culmination of your marketing, not the first day of it. That's the big flaw.
You're just pulling the trigger. You're just pulling the trigger and you're cutting the ribbon and saying, we're open. Everyone who's lined up, come on inside.
Right. Launch day should be your party. The day that you have all these people and you have media and you do all this stuff. I mean, think about the place on the corner when they open. They don't come out of the blue and open the doors and nobody know who they are. No, they spend time and effort and they bring all of their resources together. So if I was just starting out in e-commerce, I would build a monster of a marketing machine to launch. Screw Amazon. I mean, you can't overlook Amazon and be a serious US e-commerce seller. You really can't. I know some businesses that I have clients that don't sell on Amazon that do very, very well, but they're flukes. You know, it took them a long time to get to that point. You can't overlook Amazon and be a serious contender in the US. But Amazon is a piece of the puzzle, not the puzzle. If Amazon is all you have, then you're a serf. Basically, you're a medieval serf living outside the kingdom. They pour piss out over the wall on your head when they want to, when they don't want to. You know, every now and then they might invite you into the castle, but that's only to clean up their mess. You know, I mean, that's how I used to explain Amazon to people for a long time.
So for example, if I'm starting a brand in indoor gardening, for example, I'm excited about indoor gardening and I'm starting a brand there. What I would do if I'm following the Joe Reichsfeld plan is I'm going to say, okay, I am going to start sharing my passion either via blogs, either via videos or some Kindle guides, stuff like that. Get the word out, get some following going, and maybe do some Facebook groups, whatever, you know.
Pinterest pins.
What I would do is I would have 10 pieces of content written, long form, 2,000 words. It's really not that expensive. I'd have 10 pieces of content written. I'd build a website around that. I'd only put 6 or 7 of them on the website. I'd use the other 3 or 4 for guest posts on busy sites that have a lot of traffic, because I know that's how I would get authority to my site initially and traffic. And that's where I would start. I would build a community. If people trust you, they'll buy anything. You don't have to have a product to get people to trust you. You just
have to have a common interest and show that you have some authority in that interest and you're willing to put yourself out there.
Care. And show that you care. I mean, we see Amazon sellers all the time that fail with Facebook ads. People don't go to Facebook to buy. That's all there is to it. You have to have a conversation with them, and it's really easy. You rather than do the hard sell, you just start out. You know, don't you hate when you've been up all night because you can't sleep, or don't you hate when your neck hurts in the morning because your pillow's just not right? They say, You just built authority with them and established a conversation, and then you take them into the found thing. I feel this way, and I felt terrible about it, but I found a solution, and I want to share it with you. It's not the hard sell. Amazon is America's cash register. So Amazon sellers only learn to deal with people that are standing in line with money in their hand. That limits your audience. Your audience is only this big when that's what you're dealing with. When you're off of Amazon, you get people at all the different stages of the buyer's cycle, the buyer's journey. So if you just present them your Amazon listing, half of them don't want to buy. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, they're going to buy after they know you. Once they know you, and then you say, hey, by the way, we launched this product and it's available on Amazon now. They're going to go, so cool. Oh my gosh, I've been following you.
The funnel on Pinterest is 3 weeks long. People don't want to see your Amazon URL on Pinterest. They want to see other things. Even if it's a landing page first, you have to, you lose conversions the minute they see your Amazon link.
Because you're not providing value up front. And on Pinterest, they want to see that.
They know what's at the end of that rainbow. You know, they're kind of like warm, cold traffic. They're already looking for your product on Pinterest. Pinterest doesn't show your product to anybody or your pins to anybody that's not already interested. So they have an interest, but you got to warm them up. You know, you got to build a little bit of trust with them. And Pinterest is a visual planning e-commerce engine. Planning infers I'm not ready to buy today. So you take them to a landing page where you build trust with them, and you don't hard sell them there. You just build authority and you get them into your opt-in, and then you lead them by the nose to the realization that you're the best choice for them. And it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. But people overcomplicate everything because service sellers make their money that way. It is what it is. I mean, you know, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've forgotten a lot of stuff that I've learned along the way. I'm no guru. I don't know everything. I like to think I do, and I like to act like I do sometimes, but I don't, you know. I mean, the only thing that any one of the three of us offer people that they can't get elsewhere is our experience and the fact that we've taken the time to bring this stuff together and eliminate some of the really shitty learning curve stuff that you know that they can't eliminate themselves. I mean, anybody selling any program that claims that they have, you know, this rocket science idea or that nobody does what they do, it's all bullshit. It's just all bullshit. And then it's sad because it's supply and demand. As long as there's people, you know, with beer goggles on, there's snake oil salesmen nearby.
I love that analogy. There's lots of that going on, especially in the marketing realm. But I absolutely agree in terms of, you know, if I were starting again, you know, if I was in my 20s, building an audience, right? Like just look at Gary Vee. Gary Vee started, you know, just doing like wine videos because he was passionate about wine, right? And all of a sudden now, you know, he's got sneakers, he's got a marketing company, he's got a media company, he's got all these things that he built. And that's just because he's got such a massive following. He could, you know, sell rubber dog shit and people would buy the hell out of it because they trust Gary Vee. And Gary Vee says, you have to have this rubber dog shit.
And you don't have to be that, you don't have to play that role either if you don't want
No,
to.
no.
You know, I mean, that's, some people think that you have to, and you don't. I mean, it is what it is. I still have people on my mailing list from 2000 when I had my furniture store. That I could call up and say, I'm in Santa Fe right now, and I'm looking at this piece on the wall. It's $4,000, and they'd say, buy it, because they've spent 25 grand with me over the years. You know, I mean, you can't beat that stuff. You know, and the first thing they would say to me on the phone is, how are your kids doing? Yeah. My kids used to be my shipping department, and they would draw on every box before it went out the door.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, people eat that stuff up.
Of course, yeah, they want to know that you're a real person. You know, they don't.
And that's what Amazon sellers don't think they can compete with Amazon. Amazon can't compete with Amazon sellers because Amazon sellers can offer something that Amazon will never offer: a face, a person, a personality, a human that speaks English and can help you, and not just say, "Send it back. I send you money. I send you someone else's money. You send it back. You send back the brick instead of the book." And it's all
right, folks, on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up today. Joe, as usual, always a fun time having you on. Thank you so much. Let people know where they can find you, where they can get more Joe.
e-commerce-optimizer.com. I'm also on Facebook. I'm in a lot of the groups. I'm the guy everybody hates to hear from in the groups.
Nuh-uh.
Seems like.
I tagged you. Joe, I know you got something to say about this.
A free Pinterest course on my website for people to learn Pinterest. I just came out with a new workshop on hashtags, and I'm working on getting ready to publish a book and working on another one.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, Joe. Thank you again. If anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments before we go. Folks, if you want to ask questions, you got to join us live, sellerroundtable.com/live, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Otherwise, you know, you'll miss out on Joe's next appearance. And that's something you don't want to do. So thank you so much, guys, for listening. We'll see you again next time on the Seller Roundtable.
Thank you.
Recording is stopped. We're still live, folks. If you're watching live and you want to continue, we usually go 5, 10, 15 minutes after. We call it extra innings. Sellerroundtable.com/.